And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Coronamancy.
Hopefully it's catching, but not like the real thing. Yeah.
Exactly. The virus is in fact spreading.
Yeah.
So everyone has been talking about this coronavirus thing, but we do have to eventually go back to regular life. And I think after millions of people are dead in the post-apocalyptic wasteland that we're gonna have, it's gonna be like Walking Dead. Okay. Actually, it's probably like that in the UK right now anyway, regularly with the IQ over there.
Mm,
But
yes, it is actually for most people here.
but yeah, after everyone dies, we're gonna have to go back to normal life, and normal life includes cryptocurrencies, guys. So
Mm.
stop freaking out. Get your gas mask, grab your bleach, and sit
Yeah,
down for a lovely episode of Cryptomancy.
don't panic. It'll disappear off the news cycle just like Ukraine, Syria.
Yeah.
What else is there? Yeah, oh yeah, Hong Kong. What happened to them? Oh, no, no, not newsworthy anymore. Never mind them. Got turned into the
It's like you hear the
don't.
you hear the phone ringing. It's like ring, ring, ring. Hello. Yes, hello. Yeah, I wanted to know about follow up. What happened to the fire in Notre Dame? What do you mean? What do you mean no one's talking about it anymore? Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
Boop. Just like that.
down the memory hole it goes, just like everything else once it's lost usefulness
Yeah.
and relevance.
So yeah, there we have it. Anyway,
Yeah.
gentlemen, this is actually not a podcast about such general topics. Although, if you guys like that stuff, maybe we should talk about it sometime. Maybe that would be interesting. Let us know in the comments below. But this episode, we
Yeah.
are going to be talking about Richard Hart and Hex, Bitcoin Hex, as it has
It's a
come
good
to be
name for it.
known. Yeah.
The curse of crypto HEX. Sorry. Not really. It's not really even big enough to be worth calling a curse, to be honest. Anyway.
Yeah. So
Uh,
we wanted to do an episode on this mainly because it's actually been, much to my surprise, like always, stupidity always surprises me. This thing has been one of the most talked about things in the last month or so. And Richard Hart has been working on this Bitcoin Hex thing for over a year now, quote unquote, working, scheming. And it just seemed like one of those things where Bryce Weiner developed XTO, which is this coin no one else has ever heard of. There we had coins back in the day like Quicksilver, all these other really crappy coins that no one that people essentially understood were scams. From
GMT,
day one.
virtually.
Yeah.
Big one. Yeah.
And so I thought people at this point, after 2018, after the ICO bubble popped, and after all this time, and people said they finally learned their lesson, we have Richard Hart creating Bitcoin Hex, and what do you know? People are actually catching on to this thing, and they're not catching on to this thing in a small way. They're catching on to this thing in a massive, massive, massive way. I mean, I was on the Hex website where you can convert your Ethereum into Hex.
Hmm.
And I was
I
doing
hope.
some math. I was adding up all the Ethereum sent to the contract. I think it's over $8 million now.
Holy shit.
Insanity, insanity. It's all going to this wallet that's controlled by our friend Richard
Yeah.
Hart. So we're gonna do an episode here. We're gonna dispel the myths here. We're gonna talk about Bitcoin
Hmm.
Hex, and yeah. So let's get into it because we have a lot to talk about. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Where do you want to start? I mean, there's a lot to go at.
yeah.
First of all, who is Richard Hart? Richard Hart is a pseudonym for a man called Richard Schuler, who is, yeah, I'll admit, crypto influencer, seems genuine, did lots of interviews on his channel, got lots of followers, some good interviews there, although I haven't waded through that many of them, because once it gets over the hour mark, I got stuff to do, yeah.
Mhm.
Some of them are like 3, 4, 6 hours long. I can't wade through anybody for 6 hours, not even Andreas. Not in any subject. It's just too long, TLDR for most people, even technical ones or whatever. But yeah, he had a 2017 interview with Roger Ver, Mr. B Trash, as I call it, where basically he just slated Ethereum, said it doesn't scale, the contracts are not stable, lots of other things, going on and on about the DAO hack, etc., vulnerabilities. It's a bad thing to build on. Bitcoin is good. Roger Ver chiming in, of course. and then using that, to go from bashing Ethereum to bashing Bitcoin, like he did at the time. And then, recently, all of a sudden, August 2017, he dislikes ETH, says it's not a good thing to build on, and he's a Bitcoin maximalist, blah-de-blah, which most of his interviews say. And then he's building Bitcoin HEX, as it were, which he launches with great fanfare, which is, funnily enough, built on Ethereum and is an ERC20 token. So, and it's not being sold to people, it's being airdropped to people via snapshots of Bitcoin wallets. Basically, if you want HEX as an airdrop, you give them a UTXO snapshot. I'm not sure I'm very comfortable giving somebody a snapshot of my wallet, especially UTXO. That's not a very good idea security-wise, and I certainly don't think many large holders would be in for that. Yeah. Not if they've got any sense. So there's a lot of his past is in email spam. Made a lot of money from that. He used to sell marital aid sex toys, I believe. What was it you said about a Nigerian warlord? He claimed he was a Nigerian warlord.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Richard Hart to do email scams like that.
Yeah, whatever. He made his money somewhere. He's very good at marketing, and promotion. He shares a lot with Fake Toshi in that regard, I think, because whatever you may think about him, he's very good at self-promotion. There are an awful lot of people that follow him, even despite all the issues. Richard Hart is the same. Well, not the same, but similar flavor in terms of self-promotion is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot to go at. I mean, it claims to be an interest-bearing inflationary currency. Because it's being airdropped, he can get round the issue of it being a security, because he's not selling it to people. Right. It's not being done through an ICO. So he neatly sidesteps the SEC and other legal issues in that regard, but
which I think is really, for the most part, just a facade. I mean, if the SEC
that is a facade,
actually wanted to prosecute,
they would. Utility.
Yeah,
it's supposed to generate. It's a proof of stake, which we should be aware of. It's not mined, obviously, being a POS. Gets around that as well. So basically, you do the UTXO snapshot. You get airdropped based on the size of Bitcoin wallet, or drop some ETH on it, whatever, to get some. And your HEX, your ETH or your Bitcoin is then converted into HEX and staked. Yeah. Now, the inflationary mechanism for interest earning is based on length of time staked. And you're staking HEX. Yeah. The ETH has gone to another wallet. The Bitcoin has gone to another wallet. And the longer you stake it, the more you get. If you refer people, you get 5%. If you stake for a year, you get X percent. I think it's 40%, and then it increments the longer you stake. Should you take it out? Should you decide, right, I've got enough now? Yeah. Let's say I've staked for, say, 2 years, and I'm a HEX investor, for sake of argument. HEX staker, should I say. And I've made, 55%. Yeah, let's just pick a figure out. 40% for the first year, say another 15 for the second year. And I said, right, I've had enough. That's a big enough return for me. I'm taking it out now. You take it out and you get HEX. Okay? That's good. You've got your HEX. However, it's not listed. You can't convert it. So what can you convert it for? Can you convert it into ETH? No. Can you convert it into Bitcoin? No. Zero value outside the HEX staking mechanism. Can you ask him to refund what you've staked, in terms of your original purchase for that, if you say bought it with ETH? No. But if you keep it in, you get a lot. What I found astonishing was to get the claimed, I think it's, 379% interest total gain. Mm-hmm. You have to stake it for 5,555 days, which is 15.2 years. What you're going to be doing with a coin of zero utility, because it has no utility, for 15.2 years? Who's going to stake it? You see this number, But why would you stakes? Why would you lock something up that you can't exchange for anything of value, as a store of value, for 15.2 years?
Yeah.
Who the hell would do that? And there's also mechanisms for increasing your amount called an adoption amplifier, which is, I think it's things like referrals or getting more people in, whatever.
Right.
It all smells a bit Herbalife to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's no documentation. There's no real information on the compounding mechanism apart from getting more people to do it, basically. There is a game theory aspect to it in terms of the whale penalty. So basically, you stop people dumping it, then basically, if you have more than, I think it's something like 1,000 or 10,000, 1,000 bitcoins or something, you get penalized. The amount of hex you get gets reduced by, and the amount, a large quantity, I think it's 50% or more. So that's a whale penalty. But there's an easy way to get around it. Because what your average whale does is, if you really, really, really want hex, split the wallets, take UTXOs of each, and you don't have any penalty, do you? It's not hard. Yeah, because it's a wallet UTXO snapshot. Then you just spit out hex to all the wallets and then aggregate it, stake it, or stake it separately, whichever. There's no documentation. There's no technical info on how the compounding mechanism works. And how do you cash it in? It's not listed anywhere. Where do you get any value for it?
Yeah. So I actually checked listings for it on CMC. The coin is listed on CMC. And
it's on some crappy tiny network, isn't it? What's the name of it?
It's listed on one market called Chainx.
What the hell is Chainx?
I've never heard of this exchange, but it is
Neither have I. It sounds like one of those you get advertised on Discord, periodically.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure who these guys are, but I could certainly see them being in cahoots with Richard, because they have the only pair that's trading right now is HEX Korean Won. Okay, so if you want to cash out,
really,
I guess I didn't look into this. I didn't look into signing up to the exchange, but I figure you can sign up to the exchange, send your hex that way, sell it to Won. I don't know what you're doing with your Won. If you can trade your Won back to ETH and then get it out of the exchange, or if you have to, because the way Korean exchanges usually work is you need to provide your Korean ID in order to take Won out. Otherwise, you can't take your money out.
Exactly. Yeah, they have to have. I mean, Huobi Global has some kind of special license, don't they, to allow foreigners to actually.
Well, they split it up. So there's Huobi, and then there's Huobi Global. So
yes, exactly. That's what I mean. That's the external network. Because I hold Carry token. I like Carry. I think because it's off-chain retail, it's got very good potential in 2-3 years, as that actually grows, because that's a massive market, not just in Asia but globally. And the only place I can do anything with that, should I choose to empty it, is Huobi Global, because it's a Korean token. But you have this tiny exchange that nobody's heard of called Chainx, that presumably, if it's just got one pair for hex to Korean Won, is only for Korean nationals, correct? It would be.
Okay, so
how do you try it? Why has it only got one pair? And there's no information about who runs it, which I think is probably him or one of his close friends.
So I think a lot of people are getting scammed here. So I just checked the Hex listing on Chainx. So this is what they say.
Yeah.
Dear Chainx users, this is Chainx, growing with the community, blah, 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 terrible English. Hex will be listed on Monday, January 20th. Chainx does not support deposit and withdrawal of Hex. Now, if I check the volume, well, hold on. If you check the volume on Chainx, it's $2 million in the last 24 hours, which is a lot of money. Now, how are they getting $2 million of Hex if you can't get Hex in or out as a user? So what I'm thinking is Richard Hart is working with these guys. He gave them, it could even be as low as like 1 hex. It doesn't even matter. They don't even need hex. This is all could all just be like a front. Shame on CMC for putting this on CMC, by the way. Like, they really shouldn't. I mean, come on, guys. But they have $2 million volume, and they have the price of hex now artificially at whatever it is now. Now, I went back earlier and I checked on the hex go.hex.win site where you can trade your Ethereum to hex. Yeah. And I checked the averages per day, And the averages per day of Ethereum versus Hex. So if for every Ethereum you get that you put in, so one Ethereum is worth 270 USD. In Hex, it's obviously it's worthless. But if you go by the money, by the face value of Hex currently trading on this basically fake exchange, it's about $250. So what I think is happening is Richard is working with these guys to trick people into thinking that there is some kind of arbitrage opportunity here to get Hex either for cheaper or to try and put it on the exchange or whatever. But yeah, there's basically, you can't get your Hex in or out on this exchange. There is no place to sell. There is no place to buy Hex. There is no market for it. This volume is completely fake. And yeah, I mean, it's just a coin that has, once you put your ETH in, that's it. It's gone. It's Richard's now, and he gave you basically Chuck E. Cheese fun tokens.
This is I mean, why won't he let anybody HUD? Yeah. Why such a long staking period? Why do you require the UTXO snapshot? Because Andreas said it best. I think this has got enough red flags to equip a Chinese army regiment, basically, or a marching regiment. It's very, very wary.
Yeah.
Tone Vase, actually, funnily enough, I don't agree with Tone on many things, but he did point out something very interesting. Is he called it an affinity scam, and this is where my my sort of thoughts about Richard and Craig Wright come in, because I think everything Craig Wright does is an affinity scam by and large. An affinity scam, for those of you who don't know, is basically where you establish, in our industry, you establish profile as a thought leader, an influencer, a person whose opinions are valued, which Richard actually did, early on, few years ago. And CSW did as well. And then everybody respects you. People value what you say. And you build up a following, shall we say, yeah? And then at appropriate time, you establish an offering. Let's say it's BSV or it's HEX or whatever. And then you, by virtue of your reputation and the affinity a certain group of people have for you, it's a bit like Scientology in a way. You offer to these people, or via these people to the larger world, a currency offering. Everybody gets in. But this currency offering is so opaque that it's of lots of benefit to you, but nobody has any on their end. Yeah, it's all about trusting me because I am person X with this number of followers. I mean, he has a team of 3 people. Yeah, one of whom, Kieran something or other. What was his name? One of them, the main developer, Kieran, claimed to be a developer for Litecoin. Charlie's never heard of him. Another guy's lead vocalist in a British rock band. He's the marketing fella. And another guy seems to be kosher, transparent, but his GitHub's pretty empty. He's done work on some obscure coins. Seems to be an okay coder. But if HEX is so wonderful and it has such an incredibly complex game theory mechanism for actual making people such massive amounts of money, then surely you would need some serious mathematical expertise on the team. But there isn't any. It's 3 guys and Richard. Where's the resource? Where are the GitHub commits and pulls? Yeah? There aren't any. Hardly. It's incredibly opaque and doesn't inspire any confidence whatsoever. The only thing you can do is, if you want to get in, but go for it. But be aware that if you change your mind, what you'll get back is HEX. HEX is only traded in one place, for Korean won. And likely as not, if you've got some, you're probably not Korean. So you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, you can't even deposit. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, from a pure investor perspective, cryptocurrencies already are very secondary in terms of, like, we have Ripple Labs, which is a great investment, and then we have Ripple, which is a terrible investment. Cryptocurrencies operate much the same way. For the most part, when you invest in a coin, you're not really investing in the solution that it provides. You're kind of secondhand get value from the network as it grows.
Yes.
So that's really the best we can do in most cases. So we look at something like Chainlink. Okay, we have the Chainlink network. What do they provide? Oracles. All right, fair enough. We have VeChain. What does VeChain provide? Well, they're doing supply line logistics. There's an actual company behind there. Even if you would rather invest in a company, but at least you're investing in something that is somewhat tangible. With HEX, what is the team working on? What is the product? What are they building? What is HEX used for? What is the
utility? Oh no, hang on. He said the reward for users of HEX, he said at one point, is HEX is just a piece of software that people run. Oh, so if it's a piece of software that users run, then basically, yeah, that is what he said. He said HEX is software that users run. Thus, the only person that owes the user money is the user themselves. What?
Yeah, it's
Secondly, if it's software for a purpose, what's the utility of it? What's the use case?
Yeah.
There isn't any.
You know what it is it's a huge financial Rube Goldberg machine.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because like there's people putting value in, but they don't get value out. But the way that Richard Hart describes the actual schema of the entire infrastructure of HEX is like it's one big circle. Like people are going to want to stake their coins because it's going to be worth more. But why is it going to be worth more? Because people are going to stake their coins. Well, why are they going to stake their coins? Because it'll be worth more. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I came up with something as a quote for this because it's marketed as a Ponzi. You know, more people in. But it's not a Ponzi because of the opacity and the way it works. And it's all done out in the open. You can view it and verify. It's just it's a kind of 3-card Monte, you know, a shell game in a way. And it looks to me like with all the promotion and the marketing, which there's no social media presence, by the way. If you have a look for Bitcoin on Twitter, you'll find not many followers, to say the least, or posts. I just checked about an hour ago. It looks like this is a really harsh statement, but yeah. I see something of Herbalife. You remember Herbalife? All the people who got sucked into that?
Dude, that thing is still going.
Still going, yeah. There's an awful lot of stupid people out there. And we all remember BitConnect. Doesn't even have the charm of Carlos, really, or the meme value. It's like Herbalife had sex with BitConnect and gave birth to a baby made of bullshit and hot air to me. It's just
there it is.
Oh yeah, where is the value? How do you realize the value?
You don't.
You can't.
Yeah.
If you unstake it, you get nothing. If you keep it staked, you get nothing. So where are you? If you can't actually convert your gains, where are the gains?
And
where is the value?
Even if you do, there's nowhere to sell it.
Exactly. It's just print on a web page. It's an assertion. That's all it is. If you can't realize the gain, it has no value. And your ETH, or whatever you want to put into it, or your UTXO snapshots, which, believe me, people can do a lot with UTXO snapshots, you know, from a security perspective. Rather you than me. Yeah. But if anybody wants to go in, be my guest. Yeah. I'll just, other people will sit there, the kind of people who do this sort of thing will be lighting fires with $100 bills or whatever, because that's the equivalent of what you're doing. Because you can't realize any profit from this. Yeah. But then again, I think there will be more hype, there will be more promotion, there will be more announcements, there will be more YouTube to get people in.
It's extremely profitable for Richard. I mean, this guy, he's operating at 100% margin. He put nothing in and he's getting all money out.
He's done something like read L. Ron Hubbard's biography of how he started Scientology. Yeah.
You know what?
As a cult.
You know what that actually, I think you might be right, actually. Because every time I hear Richard Hart talk, he is such an expert on scams. He knows a lot about how to run Ponzi's, how to run pyramid schemes. He knows a lot about why BSV works, why BCH is a good scam or versus a bad scam. He's very much an expert on it. And so who better to create the ultimate scam than someone who can spot them themselves?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He can spot the pitfalls, route around them, and generate his own offering that basically allows him to run away with your money
Yeah.
or your UTXO snapshots, and God only knows what will happen to those.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thought experiment. If you were to duplicate, just copy and paste the Bitcoin network, your Bitcoin would be completely worthless because
Yes.
it's not the Bitcoin itself, it's the network that has value. If you copy and paste Bitcoin HEX, what is the difference between your Bitcoin HEX and Richard Hart's Bitcoin HEX? Nothing. There's no exchanges that support it. There's no network. There's no developers. It's literally, you could just copy and paste. So here's an excellent idea to make your 10,000% ROI. You give Daddy Roy 10 of your Ethereum, and then I tell you how to use the control copy and control paste function on your keyboard, and then you do that in Notepad, and then you just make a bunch of 0 with a 1 in front of it, and you get your 10 billion% ROI.
Just pull the code from GitHub, copy it, prototype it, run it on Node.js, set up your private chain, do a bit of smoke testing, compile it, bit of marketing. There you go.
And there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's literally no difference between me copy pasting his Bitcoin HEX and just saying I have 10 billion Bitcoin HEX. Oh, and this is the other funny thing about the supply. So
you will give me $10 billion.
I checked the supply of Bitcoin HEX, right? Mm-hmm. So it's extremely confusing again because this is how scams work. They have to make it so confusing for a million different reasons. Because if it was transparent, you could see the bullshit. But
18.5 billion, and it's all out circulating. He said.
Well,
this is what
it's nowhere near. It's going to be. We're nowhere near the maximum circulating. The maximum circulating, from Richard Hart himself, he said it'll go anywhere from 600 billion to 800 billion HEX. Now, at their current fake price valuations, that would put Bitcoin HEX at a $200 million total market cap.
Wait a minute, look at Coin Market Cap now. It's projecting a 30% gain for today, yeah, on average, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Market cap of 5.6 mil.
Yeah.
24-hour volume of 2.1 mil. Mm-hmm. But nobody can get it in or out of that.
Yeah, I think it's just the exchange.
This is just wash trading.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yep, that's what it is.
Surely.
Of course.
It's a locked exchange, wash trading, posting its own hit, up, down, bang, post it, put it in, put it out.
Yeah.
Show something nice on Coin Market Cap in case anybody checks. Job done.
And no one's putting $2 billion into this except maybe Richard
I'm going to
Hart.
click on technical documentation and see if I get anything.
Yeah.
Hybrid proof of work. Hybrid proof of work and proof of stake. Miners can be paid as penny. Miners? There are no miners on the website. Interesting. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Free claiming, totally secure.
Yeah. HEX is an ERC20 token launched on the Ethereum network, designed to be a store of value to replace a certificate of deposit. Okay, so people who maybe, I guess like the people who we trade with, who I think are supposed to be financiers and investors, are like complete morons. Certificate of deposits have extremely low interest rates.
Yes, they do.
If certificate of deposits were like Bitcoin HEX, like everyone would be in them. CDs give you like what, 1%, 2% a year or something? Some ridiculously low number. So to call Bitcoin HEX a CD is just like the dumbest thing ever because it's not a CD. It's nothing. It does nothing like a CD. A CD, it also has the backing of a government behind it. Where's the backing of Bitcoin HEX? Who is backing Bitcoin HEX? Tuvalu? Nigeria? I mean, Richard Hart's YouTube commenters? Like, what's going on here? So it's just a complete, there's nothing that backs it. The supply is ridiculous. The exchange doesn't actually exist. You can't deposit it anywhere. You can't withdraw it anywhere. The staking mechanism leads it to have 700 billion supply. Its current market cap valuation at its fake wash trading volume is $200 million. This is run by 3 people. You could just copy and paste the coins and you could have your own Bitcoin HEX. There's absolutely no utility behind this. And the worst part about this is if for every Bitcoin you have and you provide your UTXO, which is pretty secure information, like you were saying before, for every Bitcoin you get 10,000 hex. You know, 10,000 hex at their current fake valuations is $3. For every Bitcoin, so you get $3 US, and you don't even get that because you get it on. You don't even get that in your wallet. You get that in like their user interface, and then you have to stake it.
Yeah. Oh God, that is painful.
So if you actually want a legitimate amount, like you would need like 10,000 Bitcoin, and then you provide your UTXO that has your 10,000 Bitcoin wallet to Richard,
Bitcoin.
and then
you have to split it into little wallets, otherwise they'd take away 50% of your hex.
Yeah.
Remember the whale penalty in the spec. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
just
it's a shitload of work as well.
Yeah, it's
something you can't cash out.
Yeah.
He claims that the first coin ever to have 2 independent security audits and a third audit by a mathematician on the economics. Chain security and coin fabric.
Yeah, that's a nice claim, but I
hate to break it to people, but auditing, whether of a crypto or any kind of financial asset, is a paid service. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something, oh, you're wonderful, so you get our gold seal. You can pay a company for a bloody audit. Yeah. Put the money, then you get the audit. It's like Arthur Anderson before the .com crash. You get the gold seal stamp, and we all know what happened to them. Come on. That's got no credibility whatsoever.
In slightly related news, Cryptomancy has now been audited by 3 of the top security firms.
Oh, okay.
So you guys can be rest assured we will never get hacked. No Evernotes here. But yeah, I think it's going to wrap it up. That's
yeah, I think what we can all really say is caveat emptor.
Yeah, there it is.
And if you don't know what that means, Latin, being a classical scholar myself when I was at school, let the buyer beware.
Absolutely. So, guys, do your due diligence. This takes 5 minutes to figure out if it's a scam or not. And
it'll take a bit more than 5 minutes because he has obfuscated.
Yeah, you can also
where you can cash it out, what happens when you get when you cash it out.
Yeah.
That should tell you enough, really.
Yeah.
So, and how long you have to stake it as well, which is 5,555 days benefit, as it were. Yeah. Even though it states you'll get profit on day 353. I think he'll be long gone by day 3.
So Richard Hart, because I know he's going to be listening to this because he's a very egotistical person, just like me. So because he knows this is going to be a HEX episode, he has to listen to it. Well done, Richard. You have managed to scam people out of $8 million plus. So good job, I suppose.
Yeah, and the Daily Wash trading must be taking up somebody's time, but yeah, well done for putting the work in on that. Yeah. Maybe someday we'll see some documents, how it actually works. But yeah, good for you.
Yeah, maybe some SEC documents. Who knows? People get mad enough.
Yeah,
$8 million is a lot. It's a nice target on your head. So anyway, on that morbid news, what are we going to talk about next week? I have no idea, guys. If you have anything in mind, leave a comment down below, and we'll figure something out. If not, well, we're not going to do an episode until we figure something out. Yeah. So that's it. Anything else on Bitcoin HEX?
Yeah, beware of serial spammers on YouTube bearing gifts is all.
Beware false idols.
Serial email spammers on YouTube bearing gifts. Yes.
All right. And on that, we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time. Thank you for listening.